Welcome to another episode of Behind the Studs, your home improvement and remodeling podcast, where the two most entertaining guys discuss the do's and don'ts in home construction and in the remodeling industry. Remember that you can nail it, paint it, or just tune into the show. How about that? Here are your hosts, Colin Shaw and Jimmy Driscoll.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Behind the Studs. Hello, Mr. Jimmy.
Hello, Mr. Colin.
How are you, sir?
I am much better since I've got my cup of coffee in front of me and our guest. I am now on an even keel because I came in here grumpy like Mr. Wilson today.
I didn't pick up on it. You seem so pleasant.
I was not very pleasant at all.
If anybody could just see into this little project we do here before we get started.
I felt like, you know what I felt like? You ever hear the lost tapes of Casey Kasem when he loses his mind?
Yes,
and he's like flipping out over a freaking damn dog?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I had a wonderful weekend and just a disastrous Monday into Tuesday, but everything is good now because I'm here on the show.
Nice.
And we're here with our guest, Benjamin, and we're going to talk more about this awesome stuff that he has. And all right, I'm good to go.
You're good to go. All right,
yes,
beautiful. Let's introduce him. We have Bill Warfield. He is the New England District Sales Manager from Benjamin Obdyke. Hello, Bill.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
I really screwed that up, didn't I?
Well, you kind of just got our guest and the company all together in one shot.
I certainly apologize.
So you just like to streamline things. That's just the way you are.
I'm a dope.
I did not say that.
Dope.
All right.
All right.
So how long you been with the company?
So I've been with the company. Actually, I started right when this whole pandemic started. So it was actually
excellent timing. Yes.
Yeah, excellent timing. But have been in the building materials industry for a number of years with some other companies. So, but yeah, I got started back in late February, early March.
Wow. Okay.
Super dude.
Nice. And you're able to do a lot of online stuff in your job?
Yeah, of course. So, I was able to go through the training down at our office down near Philadelphia. So that was good. Then I was in the field for a couple weeks, and then I've been mostly working out of, our basement here and going out and starting to see some people a little bit. But yeah, doing most of the Zoom stuff and things along those lines. So it's been good.
Nice. Now, how long's the company been around?
So the company's been around for over 100 years.
Wow.
And it's a small family-owned company, and we've been in all different types of building products. I mean, they used to sell gutter parts and flashing parts for roofing and things along those lines. And then starting getting into the more moisture management side of it probably about 25 years ago. And that's where a lot of, the focus has been over the last 25 years.
Wow. Okay.
Great. Super.
Yeah, so they just keep evolving and just kind of fine tuning what it is they're on to now. Because I know you guys have a lot of great products, and we're going to get into all those as well.
Yes.
So this was just a family-owned business when it first started.
Yeah, family-owned. It's pretty much stayed in the family. Which is really great to see. So real, technology-based. I mean, we're always, looking for, how to do things better. And really build better. Yeah, but it's always been, part of one family and still primarily owned by that same member. So nice to work for a small company, and it's good because I can relate a lot to folks like yourself out in the field and some of the dealers out there as well. So, great company to work for.
Nice.
Let's talk about some of the products that you carry because we talked about it before the show, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so some of the products that you guys have, let's start with the wall products that you have.
Yeah, so we really when we talk about products, we're really we want to be the experts on moisture within the walls. You think about how buildings really change, especially over the past 20 years. It's been such a big focus on energy. Tighter, as you guys know, and it's very important. With the heating bills and everything else. So. As people build things tighter, I think sometimes they forget about moisture, and where the moisture goes and where it travels and everything else. And you think about, especially where we are in Connecticut, and all along the coast, moisture is going to find its way in. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what type of sheathing you're putting up or what type of cladding. It's going to get in there. And 9 times out of 10, it finds the wrong place to get in. And then
of course, yes.
So. We talk a lot about rainscreens, and really what that is trying to put, that sacrificial layer behind your cladding and on the outside of your sheathing and give you that layer for both drainage and drying potential.
How is that different from like the typical house wrap and the tie back?
Tie par and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So your typical house wrap is really made to do two things. It's a really good question. So it's you really want to keep the water out, but you also want to let any moisture that gets in there to get out as well.
Right.
So with that, it's normally a flat surface. So when you take a flat surface and you nail a cladding on top of it, now you are creating a pretty tight layer there, where a couple things can happen. If moisture does get back there, and it will, that's when you start having the pressure build up and it could possibly get back into your house. And then really the moisture doesn't have a place to go. And that's where you can have, some problems there. So when you compare that to a rainscreen system or a drainable house wrap, so a drainable house wrap would be like those two products you mentioned with some sort of gap in there, a smaller gap. Now you have the potential for any water that gets in there or moisture to get out. And that's the real difference between a drainable house wrap, a rain screen, and just a regular flat house wrap.
So now a drainable or a rain screen. So basically one side is like a regular house wrap, but then the other side is more like mesh. Is that how that works? Or
correct? Yeah, for the most part. A rain screen can be a lot of different things. The first rain screens were it could be furring strips. So you have a WRB, put furring strips on the outside, then put your cladding. So you're getting your space there. Yeah, and your drying potential as well. So for the most part, that's what it would be. Some sort of mesh on the outside of it. So one of the products that we have is Slicker Classic, which is a lot of people see out there. It's the yellow stuff, which has been out for a long time. Yeah. So you would take that and put it on top of any type of WRB, and that would give you both.
Can we explain to the audience what the WRB is?
Yeah, so that's your weather resistant barrier. So that's going to be code for no matter what you're going to be using out there, and that's going to go on top of your sheathing and between your sheathing and your cladding. So you're going to have your siding, you're going to have your WRB, then you're going to have your sheathing. So
can you tape the joints on the rain screen?
It depends. So a lot of people do tape the joints. Some people don't. It's really there's different ways to do it, and there's also other products out there now, which I'm sure a lot of people see, like zip walls. And also fully self-adhered systems out there as well. So it's a peel and stick system. So those are fully self-adhered. So when you use those system or you tape a regular WRB, you're going to get a lot more better air performance. So much less airflow between them. But at the same time, still what are you going to do with the moisture with those systems? Right. So a lot of times, even with those systems that I mentioned, we'll see people put the Slicker Classic or one of our drainable wraps on top of them to add an extra layer to get drainage and drying as well.
Yep. Okay. Now I'd imagine there's some of the rain screens and drainable, and you have a UV one as well. What's the UV one?
Correct. So the UV one would be for someone that's going to do a cladding that's going to be open to the sun fully all year. So you really see this on more modern design. So think about taking a lot of people would use like a decking board, a composite decking board, using this cladding but leaving a space open between the boards. So it's we call it open joint cladding. So that space there is going to be open to the weather and also, more importantly, to the sun at all times. So the difference between the UV system, it's UV rated to be exposed to the sun at all times, where you definitely would not want to do that with a regular WRB or any type of mesh system. Okay.
And I know certain ones of those rain screens, especially the drainable with the mesh is probably better for like cedar shake siding, I would think.
Sure. So that's a really good question. So when you think about different types of cladding, we kind of categorize them into two. You have your reservoir cladding, so anything that can absorb moisture. So the one that most people think about, of course, is wood. Wood's a natural occurring. It's going to absorb moisture. But also think about fiber cement, which is used a ton up in this market. Think about any stucco, any manufactured stone, even products. Composite wood products like LP Smart Side, composite products like Boral True Exterior. A lot of these can either absorb moisture or be affected by moisture. So really you can use, you'd want to, potentially use a drainable WRB or a rain screen behind anything really than vinyl. I mean, vinyl's its own, pretty good protected barrier, but you can really use it behind most cladding products.
Okay. So do you recommend the drainable behind vinyl siding, or do you recommend just, one of the regular house wraps that doesn't have the drainage?
Sure. So, of course, it never hurts to have that gap back there. But for the most part, when you're talking vinyl, you're usually talking a little bit more of a budget constraint on a project. So at the best end, it would be okay to use a drainable house wrap. But for most instances, people are really going to just be using a good quality flat house wrap for your vinyl.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just trying to figure this out. So you have your plywood, and then you have what you have to do a furring strip, and then the sheathing. I mean, then the waterproofing, or the.
So I think it's one or the other.
Right.
So
Yeah,
he was saying Yep.
So there's more of a mill or a thickness is what I'm trying to get at. So rather
Yes,
than just
it's a good question. So you're going, for like the entangled matrix, it's going to be about a 1/4 inch is what for the thickness. So that's going to add about 1/4 inch on the outside of your WRB behind your cladding.
all right. So basically, when you go to install a window or a door, you're going to need extension jams. Is what you're going to need. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's really one of the drawbacks to it is you got to be careful with your measurements, and then also a lot of times, I mean, I'm sure you guys have been on jobs. You're doing a renovation, or there's that south-facing side that's getting blasted by the weather. That just didn't last or wasn't put up properly. So now you're trying to tie the two in. That's where you got to be even more careful. If you're doing
Right.
two different areas or what have you.
I have at my place in New Hampshire. It has teardrop siding on it, the original from 1950s.
Yep.
So teardrop siding, you have that, and you have that scallop in it, which is much wider than the new stuff is now.
Yep.
But that is just taking such a beating. And that's nailed to the stud. There's nothing behind that. And it's getting to the point now where the grooves, it's just starting to really wear out.
Yeah.
So my suggestion to you, Bill, what do you suggest? Would you suggest tearing out the teardrop siding and then going with a plywood and then one of your materials on top of that, a wrap? Would you do it
so
that
what you
way?
want to do in that situation is you definitely want to take that down, and you're going to have your plywood, and then you're going to do a WRB and probably the slicker product on top of it. So that's going to give you a full rain screen. At the very least, the HydroGap drainable WRB. So with the HydroGap drainable, it's got 1 millimeter spacer, so at least you're getting some drainage there, whereas the slicker would have that full 1/4 inch gap in it.
So I'm dealing with let me just one more thing. This is going to help, I think, the homeowner too, because it's going to really help me out. This part of the house, usually it just takes a beating with the sun. Okay. If it's a nor'easter, then I'm getting moisture hitting that side of the house. That's when it takes a beating with the weather. So my suggestion is, should I go with the water, or should I go with just the breathable material? What do you think?
So most of the materials are going to be breathable. Okay.
Right.
There are folks who, you see them wrapping whole buildings in like a product like ice and water.
Yep.
And you see it a lot more up in that area in New Hampshire there. And they're saying, I don't want any moisture in the house. I'm not really concerned with the breathability. With us, we're always about thinking about that moisture, trying to get any moisture that gets in to get out, because it's always going to get in. So we would always rather go with a breathable product than a non-breathable product. And there's a lot of different ways to think about it, and I know what you're thinking. But our recommendation is always to try to do something that's going to be breathable.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Because we talked about it on the show quite a few times. We talk about the moisture. We talk about sealing the house up so tight, too tight that the house does not breathe.
Sure.
So I'm going to say, if I'm correct, your material is breathable.
Correct.
To the house. Right.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to clear that up.
Perfect. Yeah, so what you want to look for on products is their PERM rating. And we like a PERM rating, and a PERM rating is really how much air and vapor can pass through it. So, they do a good job of not letting any moisture in unless there's some sort of hole or it's coming off the building. But you also want to let them get the moisture out. And that's where you want to look for the PERM ratings. And most of the products out there really do, publish their PERM ratings. So we like a sweet spot between about 10 and 20 is what we're looking for. So on most of our products, that's what you'll see, something kind of in the middle there. So that's going to allow a certain amount of moisture to get out that would get in, but also block, the majority of moisture that could get into that system.
Right. Is there any kind of R value to it at all? Any R value at all?
Not a whole lot. So there's no really sort of insulating characteristics to any of this.
Okay.
That would be with your exterior foam and so on and so forth.
What would you suggest? Regular fiberglass foam in between the 2x4 walls or 2x6 walls?
Yeah, I mean, we also see people, we see it really both ways. We see a lot more exterior foam now as well. So it's really, you can only pack so much into your wall cavity where you get diminishing returns. So we see it really done both ways. And even when you're using exterior foam, you still want to be careful with the moisture there as well.
Well, let me ask you something. Just love to hear your point. Between us, you, and the listening audience, how do you feel about insulation foam?
The spray foam?
Yeah,
Spray foam. Okay.
yeah, the spray foam. And there's no correct answer. It's just I would love your feedback on it because they know our feedback on it. So
Yes.
I see so much of it now. It's kind of become the standard, especially on a lot of the jobs that I'm on. I think it does a good job, but I also think, sometimes it tightens things up a little bit too much as well.
I agree.
So and everything else. So, again, it helps me sell because now I have a better story to tell outside where it's even more important to mitigate any of those moisture problems you might have. But as far as the energy and everything else, it really does a good job. It's just a matter of, what type of building it is and what kind of design you're looking for.
I have to say, I'm making a prediction and we'll move on, but I have a feeling, just a gut feeling that this foam is going to come back and bite us in the ass. 20 years from now or something, I just have that feeling. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I also think, you and I look at it from a different perspective because we do remodeling.
Right.
So it's hard to remodel when there's spray foam in the wall cavities. If I'm in new construction, spray foam away. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm never going to be back. So, I think that to me is the most frustrating part of it. And it's expensive. That's the other one. I mean, a lot of homeowners don't want to pay the extra money for that. And I don't blame them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some other good stuff.
What else you got?
I don't know. Ask him.
I don't know. Actually, no. One thing I do want to make sure I talk about. There's a couple of things actually still on the wall products. What's the slicker screen?
Yeah. So we talked about slicker a little bit. That's the mesh. So this is what you would put up over your WRB. That's the 1/4 inch gap that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's, and then we also have a product called Slicker Max. So Slicker Max is like this, but it has a mesh on it. And that's better for non-structural components. So if you had fiber cement, if you had, stucco or stone, that works well. That works good with it as well. So just a little bit different on there.
Okay. Now there's a product too that you have for insects. What's that?
So that would be, with any wall system, you're going to want to have intake and exhaust. So think about your wall assembly just like you do your roof with ventilation. So you want air to flow. And this is one detail that I think a lot of people miss as well. So they could just use this slicker and then they just, don't leave a hole on the bottom or don't leave a hole on the top. So that insect screen is for the bottom of your wall to wrap around your bottom course, and then also this to make sure that you're not going to get any insects or anything else up in your wall there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be extremely, extremely great on a clapboard siding house.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And one of the things that saves a house, which a lot of people don't do when the carpenters put it back up with the painters, they don't caulk the clapboard to the 1x4 in the corners, and there's your problem: moisture, bugs, woodpeckers.
Sure.
Yep.
There you go. One big happy family.
Except for the homeowner.
Right.
Exactly. They're not happy.
That's what we come in.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Another product I like too, and I've not seen this before. I don't know if you guys have a corner on the market on this one, but the Hydro Corner sill.
Yeah, so the Hydro Corner. So when you're talking about your corner details and you talk about flashing details, it's always a spot where people struggle. And if you don't do it, pretty well perfect. You can have either a bubble there or a spot where you don't cover. So the hydro corner is a preformed plastic corner that you're going to use for your sill treatments and your window corners. So instead of
Awesome.
having to use either liquid applied or other things, you put that right down, and then you would have to tape over that, but it's still going to give you a nice uniform seal on the bottom of on your sills there.
Yeah.
We are starting to have some people that are using it. And again, it's a real labor savings than having to cut either, your bow ties out of your tapes or use a, pretty expensive flex tape out there.
Right.
So yeah, we're one of the folks that are making it. There's some other manufacturers as well, and some of the window guys have started jumping on that also because they know that's just a tough point there that, you can have some issues if you don't do it right.
Right. Yeah, no, I saw the product on your website and I watched the video real quick and watched the guy install. I mean, the video was no more than 90 seconds. So, I mean, it was over and done with so fast.
Yeah.
It's such a
Wonderful.
great product. Yeah, and it keeps all the water away from, building up in those sill areas, so which is always a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So
what I'm doing right now, as a matter of fact, just before I came here, fixing brick molding and drip edges and all that stuff.
Yep. Always
Cool.
lots of that to do.
Sure.
All right. So for the roof, you guys have a ton of different ridge vents that I saw that you offer. Can you kind of go into some of them, what the difference might be between one versus the other?
Sure. So as far as our ridge vents go, it's really, again, we talk about ventilation. So with every new construction job or even renovation job, you're going to want to have both intake for your roof and then also exhaust at the top.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different products that we make, and it really comes down to preference to what the installers like to use.
Okay.
Some of them are rolled kind of matrix products, which would be the roll vent products. So it's like an entangled mesh. And that's going to go on the top of your roof. Then you're going to put your hip and ridge shingles on top of it.
Yeah.
Then we also have, it's called sectional roof vents. So these are usually 14-inch wide hard plastic piece that really do the same thing. So you put that on the top, you're going to nail your roof shingles on top of it. There's always debate on which is better for the winter, which is better for the snow and the rain, et cetera, et cetera. Up in this market, people tend to think the rigid plastic ones do a better job of keeping the snow out.
Okay.
It's really up to what the installers like to use. The 4-footers might go up a little bit quicker because you're putting up a 4-foot section.
Right.
The roll vent are a little bit easier to maneuver depending if you have some sort of different type of shingles on there. So it's really about preference, but the point is you definitely need it.
Right.
I know in my house I have a ridge vent, but I don't have any intake. So
no soffit vents. Yeah.
It's just
that's quite common actually, as you well know.
Sure. My house was built in 1985, and when they replaced the roof, they cut the ridge and they didn't do any of the intake. So when I get my siding done in a couple of years, we'll add that.
Right.
But you want that airflow. So cold air going to hot air creates a natural vacuum to go up. So yeah, we've been making a lot of those products as well for about the last 20 to 25 years. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Great.
Yeah, just so homeowners know, you got to have that flow, like you said, and that's to keep the moisture out of the attic, and building up in there.
Right.
So, yeah, great. So, how do people get the products?
So available in all your local lumber yards. So we're pretty well covered, especially up in the New England market, but we sell nationwide as well. So,
okay.
Anywhere, you would buy your regular building materials. And then also we deal with a lot of the siding houses as well. So any of the one-steppers that are out there, your ABC supplies and things along those lines.
Okay.
But readily available up in the market.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
And I noticed on your website too, people can get samples of the different products.
Sure. Yeah, we
Really?
send out samples. Anything you like. We have pictures of all different types of projects and everything else. And yeah, whatever people are looking for, we're happy to oblige.
Nice.
I am so glad you were on the show today because you just got my wheels turning, brother. I mean, I got
That's
a
never
problem.
good. That's never good.
I think that you are the remedy of that situation on my wall. Exterior wall. I'm really going to look into that.
We always try to get people to think. I mean, that's really what we do. We're always trying to get people to try to do things better because, it's not always about now. It's what's going to happen 5-10 years when, some of these contractors are gone and now you got mold growing or you got windows leaking or, you need a $20,000 paint job. We're always trying to do things better the first time. So appreciate that.
We
Nice.
both fear moisture containment.
Oh yeah.
Just when we do the job or when I see something going up, I'm like, how is it going to get out of there?
Yep.
You know what I mean? How's it going to get out of there? Sealing it for the heat, but at the same time, house has got to breathe, right? It's got to breathe.
Got to.
That's it. So that's the way I feel, and I think you are an angel.
Oh,
dude.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very nice.
very, very happy. So happy you're on the show. Yeah.
Great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do people find you guys?
So BenjaminObdyke.com on our website there. Then I'm the local rep up in New England. Then we got a bunch of other folks around the country as well. So we got a great team inside. Got a lot of really smart people with this this company that just put their blood, sweat, and tears into all this moisture and technical stuff. So
Yeah.
pretty cool, and it can get as complicated as you want it, but we try to keep it simple. So we like to be a resource for people out there for any questions about anything.
Nice. And that's homeowners as well as contractors?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
great.
Especially the last 3 months, we've gotten more homeowner inquiries than
Really?
anybody down at our office.
I would love to get one of you guys up there at my place and just say, yeah, you should go with this and go with that and go with this, because it really takes the elements. My place really gets hit hard in the winter.
He's on a lake.
I'm
up
on a
there,
lake.
so,
So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really our thing. A lot of jobs we do are either on lakes or right on the water. I mean, that's kind of our specialty. So yeah, absolutely.
My God.
Love to help you out.
You the man.
So you can have his system. You're going to have wool insulation.
Yes.
Yep. Have you seen the wool insulation, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
the rock wool type of product. Yeah, it's for someone that's concerned with moisture or even you see a lot of that where people need a certain fire code. It's a really good product. Really good with those two characteristics.
We had a guy on the show who actually had the wool.
The wool from the sheep.
Yeah, from sheep.
Wow.
And it's like it's amazing. It's expensive.
Yep.
But it does the whole thing. It's moisture controlled and everything else, and it's no dander. You know what I mean? It's hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
It's freaking
No
awesome.
formaldehyde or anything else in it. And
nothing.
It's all natural.
All natural.
Yeah, and it breathes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Cool
a great thing with your system
With
and
your
that system.
system?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Cool
Yep.
stuff.
All right, let's build a house.
Let's work on my place. I'm so excited.
Well, Bill, what we usually ask everybody too is for a horror story, but you starting a
think
new
you got
job during COVID-19,
no
I think
horror
pretty
story.
much wraps that up for us. Unless there's anything else in the past that you've seen that has to do with putting on the right vapor barriers and stuff on a house if somebody didn't do it and things go wrong. And
I can tell you just driving around the last 3 months, and I asked one of my distributors about this. And I just asked specifically about shakes, wood shakes, which are on every house up and down the coastline. And I said, how many people you think are actually using one of these systems, either a drainable wrap or a regular full rainscreen like the slicker? And he said maybe 25%.
wow.
So it's most of it is just getting nailed up on a flat wrap, and that's why you see people out there just repairing stuff constantly sometimes every year. So it makes me excited because I can sell more stuff.
That
But
makes us happy too. Don't worry.
sure, but it's and these are not small houses. These are beautiful, some estates, and it's just wow, how could you do it like that? But it is what, and there's horrors, just water pouring in places and just, ruining, big events and everything else. So
Right.
it can go pretty bad pretty quick. But
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, Bill, thank you very much for joining
Thanks,
us. We
Bill.
really appreciate it. You're welcome to come back anytime.
thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was great.
I'll see you soon, Bill.
Sounds good. Let me know.
All right, brother.
Change your number, Bill.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good one. All right,
Thanks,
everybody,
man.
thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.